All right.
What do you make of the latest poll numbers?
You know, I always knew that this race was going to move all around, and we have 7 days left until the primary, and I'm a fighter. That's what New Yorkers want in a mayor. They want somebody who's going to fight every day for every vote to get into City Hall and fight that hard when they're mayor, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm very confident I'll be in the runoff and then win the runoff.
You asked several times, Speaker, about the landlord issue with Bill de Blasio. Do you trust Bill de Blasio?
You know, we have seen, and this landlord issue may be the most egregious example of it, but we've seen a pattern of Bill de Blasio saying one thing, saying he's fighting for tenants, but doing another thing, using his very worst landlords list as a campaign fundraising tool. We've seen him say he was for the outer borough taxi plan until he got campaign contributions from the taxi industry, and then he was opposed to it. Over and over, we see him talking out of both sides of his mouth, being hypocritical, changing positions. New Yorkers need a mayor who's a leader, not somebody who is going to flip and flop based on who gives them campaign contributions, and not somebody who's going to talk out of both sides of his mouth. You know, he has this worst buildings list, worst landlords. He uses it to raise money. And the tenants in the buildings owned by the people who gave him $65,000 still talk about squalid conditions.
But didn't some of
Rats.
those landlords give to your campaign as well?
We can get you those numbers, whether they did or they didn't, but the difference here is Bill de Blasio is heralding this list as a tool to fix buildings when he's then using it to raise money. And tonight, he presented it as if every building that was referenced in the Daily News has all of its housing violations taken care of. And we know that's not the case. Some of those buildings have hundreds of open violations. So again, whether it's landlords, whether it's term limits, he wouldn't answer the question tonight of what changed between 2005 when he was running for speaker and now that he's running for mayor. What changed was he needed to get votes from a different group of New Yorkers. And when he was running for speaker, he was prepared to tell council members, which he did, that after public hearings, he would repeal term limits. And then, when he was running for public advocate and now mayor, he changed his position. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth, and New Yorkers just can't trust him.
Speaker, at the end of the debate, you seemed to grow a little emotional when you were talking about being a fighter. I wanted to see, what was that about when you seemed to tear up a little bit there at the end when you were talking about being a fighter? No?
Perhaps allergies, because I didn't tear up. I'm strong on being a fighter and being loud and being tough, and I think New Yorkers want a fighter as mayor, and New Yorkers need a fighter. Because you know what? If there is an answer for a New Yorker on a horizon, and I have to push somebody to get to that answer, well, I'm not going to be indecisive, as it's been reported about the public advocate. I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to push ahead, and I'm going to get to yes, if that's what New Yorkers need to make their lives better.
Has Ms. Quinn,
Homelessness
homelessness
is up 62% under the Bloomberg administration. What are you going to do to solve that?
Well, I want to say I'm very proud that when the New York Times endorsed me, they noted my opposition to Mike Bloomberg on his homeless policy as one of the reasons they endorsed me. And when I'm mayor, I'm going to put a voucher program back into place so homeless people have an exit out of shelters, and I'm also going to work to expand anti-eviction programs so less folks end up on the street and lose their homes.
Has Bill de Blasio been an effective public advocate?
You know, I think if you look at the time Bill de Blasio has been a public advocate, there's not a lot to show for his record, not a lot that he's delivered on, except for talking out of both sides of his mouth and changing positions based on where he's getting campaign contributions from.
What do you think about when he was talking about Albany? He basically implied that you're thinking small by not embracing this big, bold idea.
You know, look, New Yorkers need results that are going to help them. And paper after paper, Albany leader after Albany leader has said that the public advocate's plan is pie in the sky, going to die on the rocks of Albany. We've never seen Albany pass a tax hike in an election year. It's not going to happen. We've got to bring more full-day pre-kindergarten to New Yorkers. As mayor, I'm going to find the resources in the Department of Education's budget to do that. I'm not going to kick the can up to Albany where we all well know it's not going to get taken care of next year.
Thanks, Speaker.
You've called into question his ability to be straight and set the record straight. Is it going to be hard for Democrats to unite around him if he does win the nomination, if you're attacking him for his honesty and his ability to
I think you heard just about everybody on the stage tonight say we're supporting the Democrat. And that's going to happen. But look, we're in the primary, and New Yorkers have a right to know that the public advocate talks out of both sides of his mouth, whether it's slumlords, whether it's taxis, whether it's taxes, whether it's term limits. That's a relevant fact, and voters have a right to know. And that's what these campaigns are about, talking about records and talking about the facts.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Peter.